We have to today talk about that how this batch will function in detail, especially the timeline, right? And then we will move towards your, the actual how that the questions, etc. you will have to attempt. Okay. Now remember, this is almost October, right? Almost October, not this is October, right? So my aim is that you should be able to complete your syllabus from October to December last week maximum, not more than that, so that you will have around 4 entire months for your prelims preparation. So it means that in total 12 tests, you should aim for writing at least one test per week, right? So in 3 months time, you will be able to complete the entirety of the test. So that is the timeline I was thinking, because I used to launch this batch in September, but I did not launch in September because October is, I think, optimum time, right? October, November, December, 3 months you will have around 12 weeks. And in these 12 weeks, there are a lot of holidays also. So people generally travel home. That is also all right. You can, write it online. Like today, only 2 students are sitting. Most of you are online only, right? So remember that by the time of 31st December, the entire syllabus of the law optional along with the test series should be done for you. Okay, so that is the time frame. Now the second thing, let me explain you, is that what will be the structure of the test. Now if you remember, we have total in our syllabus paper 1 and in paper 2, entirety of the syllabus is divided in section A and section B. All of you know it. In section A we have international law, constitutional law and admin law. So in that constitutional and admin law, we have the entirety of the syllabus. We have around 18 topics. 15 to be precise, subtopic you can count it 18, but mostly 15 topic. Now in that I have given you 2 tests, test number 1 and test number 2, right? So the first 7 topic of constitutional law you will have test number 1, and in the second 7 topic you will have test number 2, right? So the first part of paper 1, that is your part A, you will have 2 tests. Then comes the international law. In international law again you have around 14 topics here. So first 7 topic you will have test number 3, and the next 7 topic you will have test number 4. So it means you will have sectional test in the entirety of the paper 1. The total number of tests will be 4. Now remember, even though the topic of the test starts 7, 8 in number, still it will be a full length test, meaning you will have the entirety of the 8 questions. You have to attempt any 3. You have to leave any 3 and you have to attempt any 5. At least choosing 2 from any one of them, right? So I will explain you again, not to worry. Now, second thing that you must remember is that paper 2. Now in paper 2, what I will do is that we have here crime and tort in part A. So the entirety of the crime will have 1, that is your test number 5, and entirety of the tort you will have 1 test, that is your test number 6. Then we have in paper 2 your contract and commercial laws, and then we have CLD. Again it will have test number 7 and it will have test number 8. So it means you will have 8 sectional tests. Now when I say sectional test, that doesn't mean that the test would be 6-7 questions. It will be the entire full length test. The only thing is that syllabus is limited. The reason is that you will require at least a week time to cover that syllabus. Sometime you might need 2 weeks also, that's all right. You can take 2 weeks, right? But try to complete it in 1 week, because the assumption is that if you are joining a test series batch, you have studied the syllabus once. Now if you have not studied the syllabus once, that obviously remains a very important challenge. Now in that case you will have to devise some other strategy, because the assumption is that once you have at least completed the syllabus, and now you need to sort of revise that entire topic sectional test in 1 week, and that is sufficient. If you give 4 to 5 hours a day, it is very easy to revise the entirety of them. But if you are feeling that you will take the test and you will read alongside, the preparation will be done alongside with the test series, then this test series should not be given in 3 months. You can extend it to 1 year. That is the validity of this test series anyway. So what you can do, that you can sort of take 15 days or sometime 21 days gap and study by yourself and then write the test series. So that one thing that you will have to make it very clear in yourself, that what you are planning to do. अगर आप you are trying to go for prelims this year, I mean next year, next UPSC, then the entire test series should be done and dusted by December, so that in prelims you will start with it. But if you are not going for prelims next year and you want to prepare along with the test series, right, now in that case what I will suggest that you take 2 to 3 weeks between each test, so that in 1 year it would be completed. Okay, so that one thing you must keep in mind. Now once the sectional test is done, we will have in paper 1 total 2 tests, that is your test number 9 and test number 10, and in paper 2 again we will have 2 tests, test number 11 and test number 12. In that the syllabus should be entirety of the paper, right. So it will be clearly 2 full length UPSC type test for paper 1 and 2 full length UPSC type test in paper 2. So you will have total of 12 tests to write. Now let me tell you very frankly, based on my previous experience, that the repeatability factor in our law optional UPSC exam is almost 80 to 90%. You will have 80 to 90% questions which are repeated. Now that is something which I will also do in our test series also, that I will give you a lot of questions which are repeated in nature. Like for an example in taught, if I have given you some question on, suppose what do you mean by taught, same question I might ask in full length test 11 and full length test 12 also. So it means the purpose is not to invent new questions which UPSC very rarely asks. The purpose is to tackle those 80 to 90% repeated questions. So that one thing you must keep in mind, because often you will get confused. Aisa hoga, the same question I am asking, right? So don't worry about it. UPSC is asking the same question. So I will not invent new questions. Okay. So one thing that you must keep in mind, that do not see the questions and say that the same question. UPSC is asking the same question. So obviously I will also ask the same question. The only thing that I do is that I UPSC do not repeat the previous year question, but they repeat previous to previous year question. So जो 21 में पूछा है वो 23 में पूछता है, right? Something like that. So accordingly I make these tests. जैसे de facto de jure पिछले बार उन्होंने पूछा था तो पूरी उम्मीद है कि अगले बार नहीं पूछेंगे, right? So this time you might not have a question on difference between de facto and de jure. Getting my point? Similarly, last year they did not ask about this monoism and dualism. So this year they will ask about monoism and dualism, right? So it means that the point I am making is that questions which are repeated, I will literally copy and paste the same question in your test also. Okay, I will not invent now. There will be few 2 or 3 questions which are unique in nature, that based on current affair, obviously that will be also there, but their number will be very few. Getting my point? Okay. So this test structure and how do I expect you to complete is clear. Online people. Yes. Ritika, Maitri, you are the same Maitri? No? Siddhana, Prague. Yes. Prague, sorry. You can simply type Y in the comment box and I will listen to them. I will see them. Okay. Chali. Now let us come to how to prepare for these tests, right? What are the resources that you must follow, or if you already have resources, then obviously well and good. So let us come to the the third thing that I wanted to discuss is that how to prepare for the test. Now remember, there are 3 things, not necessarily in that order, but you must take into account while preparing for the test. 4 things in fact. The first is your obviously books, or popular dukis, very famous ones. Now I have seen some of the latest dukis, they are almost like books, right? Someone was showing me, one of the student, that MP Jain singles duki of constitutional law. It has become so thick that it is almost like a book itself, right? So I don't know how do have to do that. I have a doubt, how do I incorporate test in PYQ writing? PYQ, this is a test series batch, okay? First listen to that, Siddharth, that we will discuss it later, okay? Your question and answer, don't worry. Okay. Now the first thing is that books and dukis. Now remember that books and dukis should be your sort of a central element of your preparation. It means the concept for the first time if you are studying, you need to study it from books or dukis. Because if you go for directly for written notes, you might not understand things which are very nuanced in nature. Like in the notes you will not find what is the rationale behind a particular concept. Like for example, if you are writing a question on federalism, the Constitutional Assembly debate might not be there in the notes. but that must be there in the Dukis or in the case of books, right? So Dukis and books should be your central to your preparation. Now this is something which is required not for the novice person, but the person who are more experienced, meaning in the sense that if you are new, you can start with it, but if you are not new, you have already done through that, then obviously you will have to skip this particular source. Okay, now you need not to study it. जो मैंने पहले बताया कि if you are someone who have completed the syllabus and then you have to start with it और आपको 3 महीने में ये 12 टेस्ट लिखने हैं, right, then obviously this is not for you, right? So this is I am talking about for a person who intend to prepare for the law optional along with this test series, ठीक है, क्योंकि बुक्स पढ़ने में, दुकीज पढ़ने में आपको टाइम लगेगा obviously. Second thing, once that is done, then comes the notes part. Now this notes is something while studying you will have to prepare yourself. तो जो लोग ऑलरेडी सीरियस थे, थोड़ी बहुत प्रिपरेशन उन्होंने की है, उनके पास ये ऑलरेडी रेडी होगा, और जो नए बच्चे हैं दे आर ट्राइंग टू स्टडी फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग, उनको ये प्रिपेयर करना होगा, राइट? और मेरे हिसाब से जो टेस्ट सीरीज का हमारा प्लान है 2 to 3 वीक्स इज सफिशिएंट फॉर 7 to 8 टॉपिक्स. 8-9 टॉपिक में 2 से 3 वीक्स में आराम से वो नोट्स बन सकते हैं, ठीक है? कुछ टॉपिक्स को छोड़ दे, लाइक इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ इफ यू स्टार्ट रीडिंग द इंटायरिटी ऑफ द फंडामेंटल राइट फ्रॉम MP Jain, तो नोट्स बनाने में 3 साल लगेंगे, ऑब्वियसली वी डोंट हैव टू डू दैट, राइट? बट फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द टॉपिक दिस इज वेरी ट्रू कि 7 टॉपिक है, एक टॉपिक को पढ़ने में 3 दिन से ज़्यादा नहीं लगेगा नोट्स बनाने में, ठीक है? जैसे मैं अभी जो फाउंडेशन बैच है उसमें भी मैं क्या करता हूँ, आई टीच इट द इंटायर ऑफ द टॉपिक इन 1.5 क्लासेस, 2-2.5 घंटे में पढ़ाता हूँ, राइट? इफ यू हैव टू स्टडी बाय योरसेल्फ दिस टाइम विल बिकम 4-5 आवर जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट. तो अब 2-2 घंटा भी पढ़ें तो 3 दिनों में एक टॉपिक बड़े आसानी से खत्म हो सकता है, ठीक है? तो जो सेकंड सोर्स आपका होगा टू स्टडी इज टू प्रिपेयर नोट्स, तो ये नोट्स आप खुद बनाएंगे ऑब्वियसली. Now from that notes, the third study material that you must have with you is the list of PYQ. Now this list of PYQ freely available है वेबसाइट पे, you can simply download it. और बहुत बच्चे तो आजकल they have become very smart in using ChatGPT, right? कल एक बच्चा आया भी था इनफैक्ट, उसने कहा कि सर I have made that PYQ list according to the these topics. And I saw them almost it was same. मैंने कहा भी तो वेबसाइट पे फ्री पढ़ी है, but he pointed out कि no sir, in the website there are some of the topics which are misaligned, ठीक है? It means कि he has taken the effort to some of the questions which is misaligned along with the topic कि भाई ये इस टॉपिक मैंने इस टॉपिक में होना चाहिए, he have done it by himself, ठीक है ना? वो asked him कि आपने सब टाइप किया, तो उन्होंने then he replied कि no sir, I simply fed the PDF to ChatGPT and told ChatGPT to separate as per topics. The very smart work, right? So that is something you can also do, right? You can use ChatGPT to do that particular thing, right? So that is a very smart thing to do, right? So, but PYQ, even if you are not, don't want to use ChatGPT and other AI instrument, what you do, that you simply download it from the website, de facto law website. Now remember, there the law optional UPSC PYQ that has not been updated for 2025. तो आप कुछ नहीं करना है, 2025 में हार्डली दे आर 20-25 क्वेश्चंस, राइट? 25 दोनों मिला के देखें तो करीब 50 क्वेश्चंस होंगे, राइट? सो व्हाट यू डू, पेपर 1 पेपर 2 कुछ को टॉपिक्स को खुद से सेग्रीगेट कर लीजिए, राइट? सो नथिंग, राइट, नथिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट इन दैट, राइट? ये बड़ा आसानी से हो सकता है, ओके? बट स्टिल आई विल ट्राई टू अपडेट इट, लेकिन बट नॉट वेरी श्योर बिकॉज दिवाली आ रही है एंड आई हैव टू गो होम ऑल्सो, सो इट विल बिकम वेरी टफ फॉर मी, ओके? एंड द फोर्थ इज, that is I think perhaps the most important source that you can have, which Siddharth have also asked, is with regard to your topper's copy. Now remember, this topper copy is literally the sort of a image of the UPSC answers. Think about it. Now the people who have qualified, they have written this copy and there are more than 100 copies, right? Each year 50-60 copy gets added on. Now this copy, if you think about it, the assumption is that they must have written the same thing in the actual exam and they have got good marks. Now if you have written the same thing in the actual exam and they have got good marks, then why not to replicate it? Because in those copies also, if you look at it, I have repeatedly asked the same PYQ. अब इस साल जो 2024 के जो बच्चे पास हुए हैं इनकी कॉपी आप देखें, राइट? सो इन दैट ऑल्सो आई हैव आस्क्ड द UPSC क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर PYQ. प्रीवियस ईयर के भी आप कॉपीज देख लें, अनमोल्स और विरूपक्ष के, राइट? तो वहाँ भी आप उनके PYQs देखेंगे, हैव बीन रिटन, ठीक है? उससे पिछले साल कृतिका और उससे पिछले साल भी देखें किसी की कॉपी, राइट? अल्टीमेटली विल फाइंड दैट द क्वेश्चंस आई कीप ऑन रिपीटिंग व्हिच UPSC आल्सो डज. राइट. सो व्हाट यू कैन एक्चुअली डू दैट यू, यहाँ पे थोड़ी मेहनत आपको करनी होगी कि ये PYQs में जो क्वेश्चंस रिपीटेड हैं टॉपिक वाइज, उस टेस्ट को देखिए उस टॉपर्स के, और उस टेस्ट से वो क्वेश्चंस निकालिए कि उसने कैसे लिखा. और पिछले 5 सालों से मैं टेस्ट की सीरियल सेम ही रखता हूँ, मीनिंग कि अगर टेस्ट नंबर 1 है तो दैट विल बी फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ, अगर टेस्ट नंबर 3 लिखा है तो इट विल बी द फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ इंटरनेशनल लॉ. तो लिटरली यू कैन गो टू द वेबसाइट और जो टॉपिक आपको पढ़ना है उस टेस्ट के हिसाब से यू कैन डाउनलोड द कॉपीज. कि टेस्ट नंबर 3, सपोज यू आर रीडिंग फर्स्ट 7 टॉपिक ऑफ इंटरनेशनल लॉ, यू आर रीडिंग द फर्स्ट 7 टॉपिक ऑफ इंटरनेशनल लॉ, तो वो टेस्ट नंबर 3 में आता है. तो यू कैन लिटरली लुक एट इट, और जिसकी इसकी टेस्ट नंबर 3 अपलोडेड है उसको आप डाउनलोड कर लीजिए. यू हैव द कॉपी, ठीक है, यू हैव द आंसर्स, and you can simply, I don't know whether the chat GPT is that smart or not कि they can replicate the handwritten copy into the text. I don't know. Can test chat GPT do that handwritten copy, can they convert into the actual text? Yes, online people will tell me. I don't think they have become so smart. Text को वो convert कर दे handwritten text को. No. Yes or no? Have you guys, anyone can tell me? No. अच्छा, it is not that smart. Okay. अगर वो आ जाए तो मजा ही आ जाए. ठीक है, right? You can simply jot down the repeated questions from topper copy, और उनको convert कर ले आप text में, and simply study from that itself. But obviously that they have not become, yes, they have not become that smart. But anyhow, that's all right. तो यहाँ पे थोड़ी मेहनत आपको करनी पड़ेगी कि उस repeated topics को आप लें, toppers copy से उसके answers देखें, ठीक है, and then you make or sort of improve your notes on your own. And then after doing all these things, you will start writing tests. After doing all those things, you start writing tests. ठीक है, understood this particular point. Now, one thing, as people are using AI, obviously, in fact, this year question paper I saw, the use of certain words indicate that it is being, AI is being used, right? Like pivot word is always AI used, underscore word is something which AI always uses, right? So I have seen in the questions also these words is being used. So it means that the UPSC people, the question setter are also using AI, okay? So there is nothing wrong in using AI, right? But only thing that caution I will make is that sometimes AI gives you with some random, wrong data. There have been court cases about it also quoting something else which do not exist. So in that case, what I will suggest to you that instead of asking for answers from AI, what you do, that you feed the AI some text. जैसे मान लीजिए कि you write a question on article 21. So take out an article of article 20 from internet, or any PDF on article 21 from internet, good PDF, and then you feed that PDF to ChatGPT and then ask the answer. कि relying on this content only give me the answer. Then the reliability increases. Getting my point? Like the questions regarding NIO, or the questions regarding VCLT, or the question regarding unclosed, you simply take the text or the PDF of the unclosed document, United Nations Convention of Law of Sea, 70-80 page की document है, right? You take that document and then feed it to the ChatGPT or the Gemini, and then ask the questions from it. Then you will have a correct answer. Getting my point? Understood this point, right? तो ये बात ध्यान रखना है कि that you need not to, completely rely on ChatGPT, and I could identify in the answer also. ठीक है, आप जो word लिखते हैं, I could identify कि ये it is something which is ChatGPTized. ठीक है, मैं identify कर रहा हूँ तो I am very sure कि वहाँ जो copy जो check कर रहा होगा वो भी identify करेगा. Right? They are also not stupid people, so you cannot ignore. And I mean, cannot be so ignorant कि मुझे सब पता है और किसी को कुछ नहीं पता, right? And that doesn't happen. ठीक है, थोड़ी सी एक ingenuity, एक human touch आपको चाहिए answers में, right? तो ये बात ध्यान रखेंगे. Completely, तो वो नहीं कर सकते आप. आदित्य ने कहा yes, ChatGPT convert toppers copy in. वाह, that is very good. That is very good. That you can do. Okay, चलिए, people long, एक एक करके मैं क्वेश्चंस लेंगे. आनंद, प्लीज वेट, मैं पहले खत्म कर लेता हूँ अपनी बात. रितिका, डोंट वरी, विल लेट मी कंप्लीट. ओके, चलिए, तो ये बात हो गई कि दैट इज हाउ यू विल राइट आंसर्स. टॉपर्स कॉपी जरूर देखेंगे, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Now the second thing is that once you write the answer, I will evaluate it. Now that is, I think, a very important part, because in evaluation there are 3 things that you must take into account, that whether you are finishing the copy on time or not. Okay, and second, that obviously I will check the copy on one-to-one basis, and obviously third, that it will be offline as well as online. Now one thing I would like to say that during Diwali month, I will be mostly available online only, not offline, right? After Diwali, दो बच्चे यहाँ पे, ठीक है? So after Diwali, obviously I will come back. Then we will have a lot of offline, but mostly it will be done online. And in online case also, it will be something like I will open my iPad, and that I will check your copy, and that screen I will project to you, right? So you will see how your copy is being checked, and while checking the copy, I give feedback. That is why you must have seen that the copies that is available on the website, in that you won't find much something written on it about. I do not write much thing on it, but I speak a lot, right? I speak a lot, right? While checking the copy, I will tell you a lot of things, ki put this, put that, ye nahi likha, right? So what I will suggest you, that you take, every time a copy is being checked, you take a plain piece of paper, and whatever I am telling you, just jot it down. ठीक है? Because questions are repeated. जैसे मान लीजिए फेडरलिज्म का ही क्वेश्चन मैंने बताया, and if I have given you 3-4 feedback, इसमें ये include होना चाहिए, include होना चाहिए, right? So that's something you could have written in your paper also, that next time if a question is on federalism, I will write these things. ठीक है? So that is something that can be very easily done, ठीक है? And that actually helps a lot, ठीक है? That really will help you a lot, and you will find it very, very useful. Okay, now third and the next thing, the last thing, let me first conclude, then I will take everyone's question out of it, is that how to write answers. Now that is something, answers. Now that is something which I have repeated multiple times, but still I will repeat here, is कि while writing answers, 3 things should be taken into account. 3 चीजें, 3 बातों का ध्यान रखना है. First thing that you must remember is that your answer should have good content. It is sine qua non sort of, right? You cannot have an answer which do not have good content. So it means the first and foremost thing that comes is content. Okay, whether your content is good or not. Now how do I judge, or anyone will judge that whether content is good or not? So there are 2 major factors for it. The first is relevancy, right? And the second is current affair. So it means how close your answer is to the content of the question, right? कि उन्होंने आम पूछा तो आपने इमली तो नहीं लिखा, right? So it means it must be which is something relevant to your content, of the question. Second is that whether you have put in some current affair in it or not. Now the second part is not always relevant, in the sense that there might be a question in which there is no current affair, then that's all right. But I will tell you that at least there will be 50% of the question in which you can write something of the current affair. Current affair in the sense that we are talking about case laws, in the sense of current affair, not in the sense that I will have to write GS type current affair. No. Getting my point? Now this current affair part is something which I will provide you, right? Which I will provide you. But this is something which I will not provide you immediately, because what is the current affair now might not remain the current affair after almost 8 to 9 months when you will write mains. So what I will suggest, that you right now just focus on the weekly and the monthly current affair that I give on our website. Just have a look at it. Notes नहीं बनाना उसका, PDF download कीजिए, and just in a flash just read it down. कि भाई 3138 पे कोई नया कोई case आया, something like that, or culpable homicide murder, the court have said the same thing which was said in some other prominent case, right? So those some of the cases you will have to remember, that's all. Now this is something which I give you before mains. I prepare a 20-30 page document where for each topic, not for each subject, for each topic I will give you the list of certain important recent cases. Right? So that is something that you will have to implement before writing mains. अभी उस पर focus मत कीजिए, ठीक है? अभी आप उसको छोड़ दीजिए, right? Write normally as you write it down, and once you will have to write mains, then you do that. And the rationale is that कि अभी जो आपने current affair में पढ़ा, that might not be the exact current affair after 7 to 8 months. तो क्यों बिना मतलब का मेहनत करना उसके लिए, ठीक है? But current affair is important. That is what I am suggesting. Second thing that you will have to, and this content part, the first is the relevance, whether it is relevant or not. Obviously it is a very subjective thing, while discussing the answers, the questions I will look at it. Second thing that is also very important is, now this is something which in my opinion is 50% of the answer, right? Your answer is just 50% on the basis of this itself. See, one thing, let me be very frank, UPSC copy answer checking is a black hole. No one knows what happens, किसी को नहीं पता. ना वो कॉपी दे देते हैं, कुछ नहीं करते हैं, राइट। एक वही जो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट का जजमेंट है, वेयर बाय ही हैव सेड दैट हाउ वी असेस कॉपी। उस जजमेंट को आप पढ़ेंगे तो यू विल बी वेरी सरप्राइज कि ऐसे असेसमेंट तो बहुत मुश्किल होती होगी। दे हैव सेड दैट ओके वी गिव वन एग्जामिनर सम कॉपीज, और वो जब वंस ही चेक्स 80 कॉपीज तो रैंडमाइज सैंपल लेते हैं, उस सैंपल को रीइवेल्युएट करती है दूसरी एग्जामिनर, उसका एवरेज मार्क्स इसके एवरेज मार्क्स में अगर 10% से ज़्यादा का डिफरेंस होता है तो मैं इंटायर कॉपी रीइवेल्युएट करता हूँ। अब ये तो मतलब इट इज़ वेरी स्टैटिस्टिकली कितना ज़्यादा होता है पता नहीं, कुछ नहीं पता, वेरी ब्लैक होल है बेसिकली, ठीक है, तो किसी को कुछ नहीं पता है, राइट। सो दिस थिंग आई एम सेइंग इज फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ माई एक्सपीरियंस, राइट, फ्रॉम माई एक्सपीरियंस दैट ओके मोस्टली ऐसा लिखने पर नंबर आ जाते हैं बच्चों के, ठीक है। सो दैट इज वन थिंग आई मस्ट मेक क्लियर दैट UPSC इज लिटरली ब्लैक होल इन द सेंस ऑफ कॉपी चेकिंग, नो वन नोज व्हाट गोस ऑन। अभी जजमेंट भी आई थिंक दे हैव गिवन अ दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट एक एफिडेविट दिया इन्होंने कि वी विल पब्लिश दिस प्रीलिम्स आंसर कीज, राइट, ऐसा कुछ दिया ना रिसेंटली, मुझे जहाँ तक मैं न्यूज़ में देख रहा था। ओके चलिए, तो द फर्स्ट थिंग इज द कंटेंट। नाउ सेकंड थिंग दैट यू मस्ट टेक इनटू अकाउंट इज योर प्रेजेंटेशन। नाउ प्रेजेंटेशन सिंपली मीन्स दैट योर आंसर शुड लुक गुड, राइट। नाउ हाउ योर आंसर शुड लुक गुड? सो द फर्स्ट थिंग here also, the two things you can take into account, the first is handwriting. Now people keep telling me ki content is important, knowledge is important, but I keep counter arguing that point from the perspective that show me a topper, not of the law for any obstacle for time being, who have a bad handwriting, because everyone's copy is available online, ठीक है। लास्ट ईयर भी शक्ति दुबे जो टॉपर थी उसके लास्ट ईयर, राइट, वो वर द टॉपर वाज, उनकी कॉपीज अब मुझे दिखाई जिनकी हैंडराइटिंग खराब है, किसी की हैंडराइटिंग खराब नहीं होती। अपने यहाँ भी जो लास्ट ईयर का स्टूडेंट था, राइट, उसकी कॉपी देखिए कितनी अच्छी है, अनमोल की कॉपी देखिए कितनी अच्छी है, राइट, कृतिका की कॉपी देखिए कितनी अच्छी लिखी हुई, राइट। सो इट मीन्स कि द हैंडराइटिंग प्लेज अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, ठीक है। तो इफ़ यू हैव नॉट अ गुड हैंडराइटिंग, आई विल सजेस्ट यू टू इम्प्रूव योर हैंडराइटिंग। नाउ यू माइट से कि सर पिछले 25 साल से मैं ऐसा लिख रहा हूँ, हाउ कैन आई इम्प्रूव? इट कैन बी इम्प्रूव। लाइक वन एग्जाम्पल आई ऑलवेज गिव, द स्टूडेंट who this year did not take the test series, last year was the student, this year he just wrote that 2 free tests that I give you normally to all the students, right. He wrote just those 2 free tests, and I asked him why did not you write? So he said sir, I was actually improving my handwriting, I took a 3 months course for handwriting improvement, right, and ultimately he qualified this year. So the point I am making here is that handwriting is a very very important factor, keep that in mind, ठीक है। तो अगर आपकी हैंडराइटिंग खराब है तो आई विल सजेस्ट यू वर्क ऑन दैट, ठीक है। ऐसा नहीं कि इंप्रूव नहीं हो सकता, एवरीथिंग कैन बी इंप्रूव, राइट, सो कीप दैट इन माइंड। एंड द सेकंड थिंग इज बेसिकली इन द हैंडराइटिंग आई मीन प्रेजेंटेशन पार्ट इज शॉर्ट पैरा। ये एक बहुत बड़ा डिबेट है कि वेदर यू शुड राइट इन पैरा फॉर्मेट और इन पॉइंट फॉर्मेट। आई हैव जनरली सीन दोज हु हैव रिटन लॉन्ग पैरा डू नॉट फेच गुड मार्क्स, and those who have written short para, 3 to 4 lines, they fetch much better marks. And there is a sort of an argument also with regard to it, that if you think right now everyone's attention span has become very very less, very limited, right, so that you do not study it very line by line, and you cannot rely on them that okay you find that what is relevant written in which part of the answer. No, you cannot do that. Getting my point? So it means what I have seen, and I suggest you, now this is something which is debatable, you can choose otherwise also, right, if you feel you will be confident to write in pointer format, or you will be confident in writing long paragraph, that is obviously up to you to choose. But the toppers I have seen, the copies of toppers obviously, that I have seen that they have written short paras, and that have actually worked, okay. So good handwriting and short para, that is the 2 things that you must take into account with regard to presentation. Now that again I say it is almost affects 20% of the marks of that answer. And the last thing that comes is basically your structure. Now structure again is 25%. Now what do you mean by structure? Now again it comes down to that short attention span. Now suppose a person is reading your copy, right, and you have written everything in your copy what the question is demanding, but you have not identified that in which part, which substance of the question you have addressed, and you are relying the goodwill of that person checking the copy that they will find it out. They will not find it out. They will simply give you average marks and move forward. So it means that you must clearly identify through headings and subheadings that in which part of the answer, which substance of the question you have considered or you have answered. Like the same example with regard to federalism. I often say that in the question of federalism, you must have at least 4 headings. You must write constitutional assembly debate, you must write constitutional provision, and you must write jurist opinion, including the Supreme Court judgment, and you must write evolving federalism, or new dimensions of federalism, where you talk about symmetric, asymmetric, and all those federalism. Right? So it means you must and must not rely on the examiner to find out that what is written where in your answer. You should anchor them. Right? Like I often say, it should be like a good The Hindu article. If you look at the editorial of Hindu, you must be reading it also. You must have seen what they do. After each 1 or 2 paragraph, they give a very 2-3 words good heading. Now that heading is sufficient. If you are a sort of a veteran reader of Hindu, that heading is sufficient for you to convey that what is written in the subsequent paragraphs. Okay, now this is something which is a matter of practice. It cannot be improved overnight. पहले बच्चे पूरी की पूरी लाइन लिखेंगे हेडिंग और सब हेडिंग में, मैं उससे कट करूंगा, you could have written these 2 words only. ठीक है, सो धीरे धीरे you will improve upon it. समझ में आ रही बात ये? Understood this particular point, right? So it means in the case of answer writing, this presentation and structure is something which is you will have to improve, and you will improve only if you write. ये तो आप पढ़ के भी improve कर सकते हैं कंटेंट, काफ़ी पढ़ लिया तो you have a content, right? अब उसको ठीक से अरेंज करना और प्रेजेंट करना, दैट इज ए चैलेंज. आई विल टेल यू 80% ऑफ यू विल फेस. दिमाग में बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन जब लिखने बैठते हैं तो वर्ड लिमिट में पूरी बात नहीं हो पाती. सो डजंट मैटर हाउ मच यू नो. ठीक है, सो दैट इज एक्चुअली वेरी मच चैलेंज. तो टेस्ट सीरीज का जो प्राइमरी पर्पस है, अगर मैं देखूँ, ऑब्वियसली टू असिस्ट यू इन प्रिपरेशन, एक डिसिप्लिन बन जाएगी, दैट इज ए सेपरेट इशू. लेकिन ये दोनों ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट पर्पस है, क्या प्रेजेंट और उसको स्ट्रक्चर ठीक से करवाएंगे. समझ में आ रही बात ये? यस, ऑनलाइन पीपल, इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर फॉर एवरीवन? ओके, चलिए अब प्लीज यू टाइप योर क्वेश्चंस. ये मेरी जो बात करनी थी आई हैव गिवन, राइट? तो यहाँ पे मैं ले लेता हूँ कुछ लोगों से क्वेश्चन. आई हैव गिवन जुडिशरी. अच्छा, वो 3 साल वाला आनंद आ गया होगा, राइट? सो सैड स्टिल. अच्छा, कॉलेज के टाइम. सो यू आर सेइंग दैट आई हैव बिकम ओल्ड. इट इज ऑलमोस्ट 2018. 18 से 16 हो गया ऑलमोस्ट. इट इज 8 years. हाँ, ठीक है. यू स्टार्ट विद यूपीएससी, ज़्यादा अच्छा है. डोंट वरी आनंद, ठीक है, ये बेहतर है. तो जीएस पे फोकस कीजिए, लॉ हो जाएगा आपका. ओके, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. Okay, Ritika is asking, I will appear but wanted to prepare along with test series preparation last time, basic idea about law option syllabus, एक बार पढ़ा है syllabus, but unable to write prelims. हाँ, you can, Ritika, you can. I have read your questions, you can. Okay, it is very easily doable. आप पूरे lectures में मैंने वही बताया कि अगर आप न्यू स्टूडेंट हैं और 1 साल का समय लेके you want to prepare along with test series, तो मैंने जैसा बताया कि पहले आप नोट्स बनाइए, मैं टेक्स्ट बुक को बेसिक रखिए, उससे नोट्स बनाइए, एंड देन यू गो टू द PYQ. ठीक है, दैट इज ऑल्सो कैन बी डन, नॉट एन इशू. या यू कैन रिवर्स इट डाउन ऑल्सो कि पहले ही PYQ रखिए, उसके हिसाब से नोट्स बनाइए. दैट इज ऑल्सो गुड आइडिया, नॉट ए बैड आइडिया. ओके, व्हाट वाज द ऑप्शनल मार्क्स आदित्य? मुझे याद तो नहीं है, लेकिन अनमोल का किसी, अगेन इट इज सेकंड हैंड इन्फॉर्मेशन, नॉट फर्स्ट. 301 someone told me, but she never said herself. विरूपाक्ष आई थिंक it was 255-57 रेंजेस. साक्षी का मुझे याद नहीं है, बट आई थिंक 270 के रेंज में था उसका. ठीक ना, इफ आई रिमेंबर करेक्टली. लेकिन उसकी आंसर सीट बड़ी अच्छी है, आप देखिएगा, वेरी, सी राइट्स वेरी गुड आंसर. हैंड राइटिंग में काफ़ी अच्छी है उसकी. ओके, Mohit sir, why law optional aspirant are not being awarded 280? ठीक है, दिस ईयर दे हैड नॉट बीन रिवार्डेड, लेकिन लास्ट ईयर तो था ही, राइट? लास्ट ईयर ऑलमोस्ट एवरेज मार्क्स 275-276. ठीक है, एवरेज मार्क्स जो टॉप के जो भी बच्चे थे 10-12, इस बार कमाया, दैट्स ओके, आई अंडरस्टैंड. लेकिन द पॉइंट इज दैट इवन दो लॉ ऑप्शनल हैज लेस मार्क्स, बट स्टिल द नंबर ऑफ पीपल हु क्वालिफाइड इज मच मोर. भाई ऑलमोस्ट अराउंड 150 से 180-170 बच्चे ऑप्शनल देते हैं, राइट? इस बार भी 22 बच्चे क्वालिफाई किए, राइट? इट इज ऑलमोस्ट 15%. ठीक है, तो ऑप्शनल मार्क्स पे फोकस मत कीजिए, सक्सेस भी इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है, मतलब इतना कम नंबर देने के बाद भी 22 बच्चे पास कर रहे हैं, सोचिए बहुत बड़ी बात है अगर आप सोचे right? This year, last year तो अच्छे marks थे obviously, last year was good marks. Okay Mohit. Dukkis वही है, Dukkis is the same math, it is the same for everything. क्या बोला, I just want to check test series mains before, हाँ that will have fresh obviously, fresh वही बात है, the same thing I am saying, right? Someone is asking whether it will have teja, don't worry, see ऐसे भी नया भी टेस्ट सीरीज बनेगा तो 80% क्वेश्चन विल बी रिपीटेड ओनली, ठीक है, तो ये बहुत फर्क नहीं पड़ता, राइट? लाइक दिस ईयर व्हाट वाज द नेम, यस आई थिंक रूपल ओनली, राइट? सो दिस ईयर शी इज अगेन रिटन मेंस, so this year she told me कि sir what to do, I told her that write the previous year test series again, she did it, ठीक है, तो बहुत डिफरेंस नहीं आता है, ठीक है, don't worry about it. Okay Teja, how much time does it take? वही करीब 30 minutes, 25-30 minutes में समय लेता हूँ to take the this, ठीक है, 25-30 minutes I take. Okay, anything else you want to ask? Sir, what factor should be considered while choosing optional question from part A and part B? ये तो I think you should decide it then and there, right? ये पहले से pre decide मत कीजिए कि you will have to take more in part A and part B. But normally I have seen people take constitutional law much more. But if you take international law, you get good marks. Generally seen, right? Not always true. And paper 2, mostly you choose 3 questions from part A, tort and crime. ठीक है, CLD से क्वेश्चन जनरली बच्चे कम लेते हैं. ओके पराग, अब सबके नंबर नहीं याद है आदित्य यार, इट इज सिंपली इम्पॉसिबल. 3 सालों में 100 बच्चे हैं, राइट? इट इज सिंपली इम्पॉसिबल टू कीप ए ट्रैक आदित्य. एक मैंने लिस्ट पब्लिश किया था किसके कितने मार्क्स आए थे लास्ट टू लास्ट ईयर, उसके बाद मैंने छोड़ दिया. आई मीन लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स इन लाइफ टू डू, राइट? ये बड़ा मुश्किल है मुझे आदित्य यार. एक बार उन लोग को ईमेल करो, दे विल रिप्लाई यू, डोंट वरी. जो टॉप में है उन्हीं का नंबर याद रहता है और तो बहुत का याद नहीं रहता. सर अर्लियर सो दैट पीपल कुड अटेंड टेस्ट बेस्ड ऑन देयर प्रिपरेशन, आई फील लाइक नो शेड्यूल इज नॉट फिक्स आनंद. मैं सारे क्वेश्चंस एक साथ आई विल गिव यू द पेपर ऑल एट वंस, यू कैन राइट एनी टेस्ट, दैट्स ऑल राइट. हेलो सर, शुड आई कंप्लीट PYQ? दैट इज अ गुड आइडिया. यू कैन कंप्लीट PYQ देन राइट टेस्ट, दैट इज आल्सो वेरी गुड आइडिया इन फैक्ट. हाउ कैन आई इवैल्यूएट माय ओन आंसर्स? आई मीन it is better for someone else to get it evaluated, right? So that is I think, yeah, अगर आप compare करें तो you can see the topper's copy and sort of see where you are. Okay Ritika, that you can. Where to send copies? वो email है इनका, dashboard पे आपको मिल जाएगा. That email you can email Sreshta. Okay. चलिए, तो all the questions I have handled. Anything else you want to ask me? Please do tell. Otherwise we will wind it up. Okay. What will be the minimum price and discount? अरे ये सब आनंद, you ask the people there, right? You call them. ठीक, price I have no control of, right? That is de facto, people will decide. Okay. सर टॉपर्स कॉपी में अगर कभी लगता है यहाँ, हाँ बिल्कुल, अरे दैट इज अ गुड थिंग ना, वेरी गुड. ये आप जो बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं, राइट रितिका, दैट इफ यू थिंक दैट समथिंग कुड हैव बीन एडेड देन दैट ऑब्वियसली एड ऑन इज ऑलवेज वेरी गुड, राइट? ऑब्वियसली वेरी गुड. सो दैट शुड बी द बेस. Not the entirety has to be copied, right? So that should be a base. That should be a base. Can I sectional test now? वो तो 1 साल है ना, तो you can do it, right? Siddhana, you can do it, right? अब sectional अभी लिखिए, 4 बचा के रखें, and once you qualify for prelims, then you write. That is also okay. My dad said, नहीं ऐसा नहीं है रितिका, there is nothing wrong in law, right? You can even you must have seen the recent judgment of the Supreme Court. वो जो एनक्लैट वाले जो डिसीजन थे, जो उन्होंने पूरी की पूरी JSW वाले केस में, दे हैव सेड कि इट इज अगेंस्ट पब्लिक पॉलिसी, और जो इकोनॉमिक विजडम होता है कमिटी ऑफ क्रेडिटर का, उसको उन्होंने रिप्लेस कर दिया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ना. ऑब्वियसली लेटर इट वाज ओवरटर्न्ड, तो कुछ गलत नहीं इंडिया में, एटलीस्ट लॉ में. ओके, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट, नॉट एट ऑल, दैट इज नॉट द केस. ठीक है, दैट इज नॉट द केस. इनफैक्ट इंजेन्युइटी गेट्स रिवार्डेड. सब एक ही तरह का आंसर लिखेंगे तो वो भी गड़बड़ है. ठीक है, चलिए देन लेट अस वाइंड इट अप. थैंक यू.